Welcome to Truth Seekers. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Seiker Podcast at Service of Change, where we challenge reality, question that we've been taught in hopes of inspiring a new direction of thought to bring about change. I'm your host, Dennis Nappy II, with Service of Change, where you can read my book for free, I Am Human, and We Are Not Who We Think We Are, just by going to serviceofchange.com/IamHuman. Enter your email address, and you will get instant access to read the book that will change your perspective or validate your perspective of the reality in which we live. Not everything is what it seems, and sometimes the questions are more important than the answers, and I have so many of those. Tonight's show, I am really excited to jump into this podcast tonight. It's one I've been planning for, I don't know, months. I've been trying to connect with my good friend Gerri Bouse. We're going to talk about life as an empath. Gerri has some amazing experience and some amazing insight into what it's like to pick up on the feelings and emotions of other people she's around, and it goes much deeper than that. So you're going to want to stay tuned and listen to that. But first, I just want to review a few things that are going on in the world that I've been putting up there through the social media feed. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button on Facebook, and it's a great way to just kind of support the content that's coming out there by interacting with the page. You can find it at serviceofchange.com. The Facebook link is right there on the left-hand side. I put an article up just the other day. It's I found a video online. It's called A Hidden Camera Experiment. Most people are sheep. I think the original video was created by Anonymous. I see their logo up in the top right-hand corner, and it really goes to show just how easily humanity can be programmed. And I've covered this if you've listened to my show where I reviewed the new movie on Netflix called The Milgram Experiment. I think the movie was called The Experimenter, but it was about the Milgram experiment. Basically how easy it is to influence people to follow a certain behavior. So you're going to check this out. There's a video that shows them doing this in a social setting, getting people to perform certain tasks. And it's really quite scary. They get them to respond to the sound of a bell. They get everybody to stand up that has no idea why they're standing. And it ties into some other studies that I've looked at and explored on the show. And it just goes to show, like I said, that one of the main theses of Food for the Archons that I'm working on is to show that humanity is being influenced and manipulated to produce a certain emotional output, that negative output, because there are forces out there that utilize those specific frequencies as an energy source. And once we get into speaking with Gerri tonight, I think it's going to validate even more of what I've been feeling, sensing, researching, finding, and talking about. But so again, go to serviceofchange.com, check out the Facebook feed, make sure you like it. That's just a great way to support the show, because as I mentioned in the last show, I think Facebook shows my stuff to one or two people on average, unless you start liking it and engaging with the page, then that goes right up. And that's all I'm trying to do, is get some information out there. Okay, I've run my mouth quite a bit right now. Let me save all the time that I possibly can for the discussion with my good friend Gerri, and we're going to talk about life as an empath. Okay, so Gerri, are you with me?
Yes, I definitely am.
Hi, my friend. How are you tonight?
I am doing wonderful. How are you?
Much better now. We had quite the challenge in getting this off the ground, it seems, but we're here and we're good to go, finally. I'm looking forward to this discussion tonight.
Me too.
So it's funny how the universe works in strange ways. We tried to do this, a couple months ago, I think, and then just things came up and it just never happened, right?
Yeah, it seemed like one thing after another started to pop up, and as soon as we would try to do an interview, something else would crop up. So, we got this tonight, definitely.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that it's actually going to record and save for us, since that's been our challenge for the past half hour. It seems like when we're going down this path and exploring these subjects, I'm convinced that sometimes there's forces working against us, trying not to let that message get out. But we'll adapt and overcome. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and that's a whole other conversation right there, Dennis.
It sure is. It sure is. But tonight, I'd like to talk, about several things. You've got a lot of things that are always going on with you. We're friends on Facebook, and I'm always, following what's going on with you. I want to talk primarily about life as an empath and what it's been like, growing up as an empath. And then we'll also get into, I know that you're working on a book, so that we can also talk about that project as well. But for our listeners out there who don't know what an empath is, why don't you start out just by telling us, what that means?
I'm glad that you asked in that mannerism, because a lot of people have misconceptions about what an empath is. They think that an empath is a very, subtle, almost hippie-like being who never gets angry and is always, flowing with these loving emotions and picking up these great, emotions from others. And it's not the case all the time. I mean, people do have good sides to them, but remember something. You've got a human being with life experiences whose body has survived from, if they're 12 years, if they're 99 and an empath is near them, you're feeling the joints, the stomach, the head, the memory issues, you're picking up on tragedy, you're picking up on loss, you're picking up on so many different things with so many different people that it affects you. And years and years of looking into why am I different? Why am I like this? Why do I have to be an empath? Because I have friends that say, Dennis, they're always saying, I wish I was like you, Jer. I wish I could do what you do, Gerri. And I always say to them, no, don't say that. You really, they have this misconception that we have this easy life, but
right.
it's not the case. It's really not the case. It is.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us become so reclusive. Like me, for instance, I don't go out, okay? I don't go to dinners. I don't go out to dinner. I don't go to movies with groups and crowds of people. I mean, I have, but I can count on one hand how many times I have. I don't go to shows and theater, and I don't have friends come over and hang out with me because I am overly sensitive. Finally, an explanation from a friend of mine who is a scientist, and I thought it was kind of a cool explanation. It hasn't been thoroughly investigated, of course, on humans, but on animals, which, that's kind of neat that a lot of people think, yeah, they're soulless creatures. It's not true. They have souls, and they have what science is calling mirror neurons. Okay? And I guess that in an overly empathetic person, scientifically speaking, all right, we seem to have more mirror neurons in our brain than the average person. And that right there is called shared neural activations. I mean, think about this. You're in a room with somebody and you're watching, as an empath, Dennis, you totally scope people out. Like, you look at them, you're analyzing their every little vivid body move, their facial expressions, everything, and boom, you've got them in a heartbeat. Okay. You're better. You're better than the FBI, You're looking at them and you're sizing them up, and what happens inside of your brain as an empath, that shared neural reaction means that the neurons, the mirror neurons, and their behaviors inside of your brain, they increase. So you already have too many. Now they're increasing. And this is the basis of human emotion. I mean, mirror neurons are supposedly why humans have emotions, okay? Scientifically speaking. But we're getting this from them. And let me be clear though, okay? This isn't just the scientific, I mean, that's the scientific side of it. But you and I both know that there's also a spiritual side and there's a physical side, you know, and we're more than just physical beings.
Right.
So you take the fact that, you know, physically we have more mirror neurons than most people do and amplify that by our spiritual being, our light, so to speak, our energy that's arcing a little bit higher than normal people, because normal people who have a normal amount of the neural of the mirror neurons in their brain, they're not peaking, so to speak. It's almost like there's a wheel turning inside of us and it's spinning 3 times faster than other people, and we're giving off this energy. So the energy that we're giving off, we can take back in. Less, more, you know, we can take that back in. And when we're sizing a person up, we're looking at this person, all of a sudden it starts. We start feeling something strange, okay? It could be, you know, in their childhood, their father might have, you know, had a drinking issue and he was abusive, and we're not just feeling, we're not just knowing this, we're feeling it now. Now we're getting the, oh God, I want to cry, and I'm angry, and we're picking up this emotion. And the problem with picking up this emotion, this energy, is a lot of us don't know how to get rid of it. And it's scary to think about that for a minute. I mean, say you know, you're a 20-year-old empath, that's hard. Say you make it to 46. Oh my gosh, you know, how much have you picked up? How much have you let go of? How do you deal with this? You know, how do you stay sane? How do you know your emotions from other people?
And that's an important point right there, because you do reach a point, and I'm not as sensitive as you are, but, you know, there's times where I'm really picking stuff up, and when it was at its most difficult for me was when my daughter was a few months old. She had colic and reflux, and she was just angry and in pain all the time. And I took that, my heart actually hurt. My chest would hurt. I'd get palpitations. She would look at me and I'd feel it in my chest, just this pain. And then I'd get enraged with anger because she was so angry. And I felt like I was losing my mind. I couldn't control the amount of energy that this little girl was throwing at me, you know, for months. It was so difficult. And that's when I started to realize what's my feelings, what's her feelings. And once I started to explore that, I was able to better separate myself. But you're right, that's a tough challenge.
And you know what's worse about that is, okay, you're having that experience, okay, and you're picking up that energy, and you're having that empathic, you know, that empathic swap of energy. And here's what's worse: your experiences, because these are called mirror neurons, okay, your experiences with anger are now reignited. So you're feeling anger from them. Now it's reigniting your experience with anger. And now an empath, okay, who's angry is a scary, scary thing. We mirror psychopaths when we're angry. We really do. When we're happy, we're the happiest people on the planet. When we're angry, we are downright scary.
Yeah. Yep. You just described me to the T when I was going through that stage. Absolutely. I scared myself. I absolutely scared myself because I felt like I was losing my mind. You know, it was a tough phase, but I made it through, fortunately.
Yes, you did. But you have to, you know, and my advice for people out there who are empathic and they're going through situations like that is, and I know it's hard to do, but you have to take yourself out of the situation for a little while, for a few moments, and you have to go for a walk, and you have to do what I call burn it up. You have to burn up the energy somehow. You have to walk, you have to do aerobics, weightlift, run for 10 miles, paint, draw, take a bath, whatever it is that takes your energy. And when I say energy, I'm not just talking, it confuses people when we say energy. Mm-hmm. You're giving off a vibration, okay, a sound. Each of us has a very specific personal sound, and that's our vibration. And everything in creation has a sound. This is their energy, okay?
Right.
And when you're taking on, like when you're in a room with someone who's very ill and you're picking up their sound, so to speak, that sound can actually alter your DNA, which is a scary concept. Now, you have to get yourself in a place where you're burning that up. Whatever it takes, whatever makes you happy, get your mind off it, no matter what that is, whatever somebody's thing is. But the scariest part of this is, and you know as well as I do, motivate yourself to do it, because sometimes, I'm not saying empaths are the laziest when it comes to doing anything good for themselves. They are the laziest I've ever seen.
It's tough. You have to really, you have to pre-plan it. I look at it from, my training in the military. It's, through repetition, it becomes second nature. I try to recognize I call them indicators and warning. I feel this tension building. I need to disengage beforehand. And when I start hitting certain triggers, that's when I start now automatically just doing certain things, because I know the consequences and I don't want to face those consequences. And that seemed to work for me over the past 2 years.
See, I believe that most of us should have military training, because we're just like, nope, I'm going to sit in this. I'm going to sit in this, and I'm going to endure it, and I'm going to endure it to the end. And, that's an empath state of mind.
Because you're
the ones that always stay. Yes, you are. You are. And you have to break out.
Yep. And that's hard, because, when you're depressed, you want to feel depressed. You want to feel sad. You want to wallow in it. And it's tough. And you brought up a good point about the sound and the frequencies. I've been doing a lot of research into that, and lately I've really been drawn to just the power of sound. Sound has the ability to heal. It has the ability to influence mood and so many different things, even the sounds that we're not consciously hearing and aware of. So you're absolutely right on that. And once you're harmonizing with a particular frequency, it's tough to consciously say, hey, I want to change this frequency right now and move into something else. So you got to have that plan is always my advice. But Gerri, I want to move, in a slightly different direction, and I'd just like to hear a little bit about, kind of your experiences living with this, and when did you first realize that you had this ability? What was that like?
I don't think it was a realization of an ability. A lot of people say, yeah, I became aware that I was an empath. I was, 12 or 25 or 40 or whatever. I don't think it was a realization of an ability. I think, growing up like that and always being like that, you're not aware that, and the word empath wasn't so popular way back when. What I mean?
Right, it's not more popular now.
You just think, like a lot of people still do who are empathic, I'm just a very sensitive person. And it's really weird, because when I'm near people, when they're sick, I start feeling sick, they say to me, and I laugh and I say, yeah, that's odd. That's pretty much what we do. And, I wasn't, it's not like one day I woke up and I said, oh, I'm an empath. It's been this way my whole life. And after a while, you start to question your sanity. And you do it to such a degree that you seek out psychological evaluation, you go to medical doctors, you tell these people what's wrong with you. So, they did some testing on me, and they're like, you had synesthesia. You can taste the colors and the sound. Yeah, and everything gets off it. It's synesthesia. It's a brain condition. My brain's wired a little different than most people. So they think that part of me is because I have synesthesia. I don't think that being an empath is because I have synesthesia. A lot of people in science attribute psychic ability to this condition, but I'm not really convinced of it. I know a lot of people, because I'm in groups with people with synesthesia they're not empathic, they don't have psychic ability, so speculation, it's really, to me, it just complicates the condition.
Yeah.
And I call it a condition because it feels like a condition.
Right. Wow. Now, you said you can taste, I know Kanye, he recently said that he can see sound. And I thought that was pretty fascinating, because, he's always, a controversial guy. But they were giving him a hard time when he was on, I want to say Oprah or somebody, he went off on a rant talking about endorsing sneakers at Payless or something. I forget what he was talking about. And everybody starts laughing at the guy. And for the first time that he's ever opened his mouth, I actually respected what he was saying. And I felt like this is a guy who's struggling with some of the things we're talking about, and nobody understands him. Because what he said was, I can see sound. I understand X, Y, Z. And everybody was laughing at him. And I'm going, no, this is the one thing you shouldn't be laughing at, because he's losing it here, because he can't cope with all this sensory input that he's getting. And that's why he's trying to put things out there. That was my...
He really does sound like a synesthesia. He sounds like a synesthesia patient, because that's exactly how we function. That's when it comes to seeing, and let's say sound. Okay, sound is a vibration. Vibration gives off color. Everyone out there has an aura. I don't care what the so-called normal people say about, these hippies and these new agers, and, they're crazy. They talk about aura and whatever. Everybody I've ever seen my whole life has had an aura. And I told my doctor, when I finally broke down and, my first EEG, I was 13, I freaked out. Of course, it was abnormal, but I was freaking out. So I was telling them about it, and they said that this sounds like a brain condition. We're a little familiar with it. But back then, it was 1983, so they didn't know a lot about things like they do now. But yeah, it's a real condition, and we really do see sound, we taste color. There's variations to it. Not everyone has it the same, and I want to make a point right now about empaths, because everyone thinks we're textbook identical, and we're not. Right. We're very, very different from each other.
You're right there. And because I pick up on people's emotions a lot, regardless of where they are. The second they answer the phone, they don't have to say anything. I feel the intent of the conversation. And I do see auras, not constantly. I usually see them, I guess, when I need to. I've looked at people and said, you're sick, you need to get checked out, and I've been able to tell them the area they need to get checked out. It's been completely spontaneous. But I don't really know what the colors mean. I've tried, I've read books, and what it says in the books doesn't match what more or less my intuition tells me, so, and it's not often enough where I'm constantly able to practice it. But when I do call it out, people are like, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what you're saying. How do you know that? Well, I just started telling people now. I see auras. It's
funny though, you're seeing sounds. That's what you're seeing. And you know why you're not seeing it all the time is because you do function on a higher level, but you have discipline and control. And let's say you put up a little bit of a wall because, you'll get to a certain point where you can get on your tiptoes and look over it, but then you can go back down again. I respect that because I'm the kind of empath that doesn't have that ability. I can't block. I can't do it. And I've tried everything. I've been to everyone. I've read everything there is to read about blocking, grounding yourself. You got to ground yourself, Gerri. Listen, I've done every practice under the sun, and nothing stops this. Nothing. I mean, there's nothing that works for me. And I'll tell you something. Shopping in a grocery store for me is a nightmare. I do not go. When I go in, I'm fine. I'm okay. And it takes you can count to about 15, and it starts. The colors are peaking. Every sense of my body is like I'm eating a meal, smelling perfume, and I'm tasting music, and everybody's giving off everything, and then the emotions start, and then the anger comes, and I'm like, okay. Mom, get what you got to get. I need to get out. I got to go in the car. Here's my money. Please pay for my stuff. And I'll load it in the car, but I can't be in here anymore. I turn into, I don't know. I can't handle it. I just can't.
You know, I'm wondering, I just saw an invention on one of the random Facebook ads, and it's designed to reduce background noise. Like if you have thin walls in your home and you can always hear your neighbors chattering, it's a small device about the size of a cell phone. And what it does is it puts out counter frequencies. So the sound waves are basically blocking the other sound waves. You understand how, waveforms work. And I'm wondering if, we can identify the specific frequencies that impact you the most and then create a device that has a counter frequency. If we start thinking, what Tesla said, think of everything in terms of frequency and vibration, you can just find the opposite wavelength.
It's funny because Tesla had synesthesia,
I believe it.
He had synesthesia. Yeah. He was diagnosed way back when as, he was seeing the auras and tasting, the colors, and he was very sensitive, Tesla was. And I guess Billy Joel also, of all people, you would never know by looking at him, but he's also a synesthesia patient.
It makes sense, and cause I know people that hear, they call it the hum, and it's that constant droning sound that makes them ill. They don't know where it comes from, and some people have had success with that counter frequency. So maybe
I think that's genius, actually.
I'm definitely not a genius there, but it's if it can help you, then that would be wonderful. The question is, what frequency would you have to put it to counteract that? But it's
and here's
worth
the problem:
there's
so many different frequencies around us, and
right.
They're stirring different parts of our brain, and those mirror neurons are going insane. That it's probably more than one. It's probably it's a symphony of frequency going on. I bet anything on that.
I wonder if you can even listen to like a binaural beat. Put in headphones like a binaural beat to change the the alpha waves or the beta, theta, whatever in your brain to change your own internal frequency to bring you down instead of blocking everything. Maybe we can change yours. I just watched a movie on Netflix called Frequencies. Maybe that's where this is coming from, and it touched on some of this stuff, not the level of what we're talking about right now, but I guess that's where it got me going in that direction. So maybe there's some things that you can listen to that would bring you down. Might be worth experimenting with.
There's definitely the binaural beats. They help at night when you've gone through, the phases of energy and stuff. The binaural beats, you put your headphones on and listen to that, and that seems to calm a lot of people down. Even though the last one I listened to kind of made my heart skip, I was having palpitations. And then, right after the next day, I was not well at all. So I'm not going to listen to that one again.
You got to be careful with some of the things that are out there. I'm a huge advocate of the Monroe Institute because, I think they're the ones that developed that technology, the HemiSync technology, and they've done some wonderful things. And they have some really awesome programs. I hope someday to make it through some of their training sessions once the funds get a little bit better,
Well, what I did notice also? I noticed that wearing copper, and for some reason, and it's the strangest thing, that wearing copper seems to help a little bit, enough to the point where it's bearable. And this isn't something I even did on purpose, but I was looking at how, because I have multiple sclerosis, and I was looking at how it helps your balance. So I thought, oh, cool, if it works, because it's probably hype and crap, but I tried it, and it did help. And then we went out, and it was a smaller store. It's the area local grocery. We went out, and I seemed to not have a hard time. I mean, I was still me. I'm always going to be me, but it was bearable. And then when I don't wear it, it's unbearable. So I'm wondering, and I've never, talked about the copper thing before, but now that we're talking about this, it's sparking this in my mind. I wonder if the copper has some sort of property that actually helps in some way.
I'm going to think my conspiracy brain is going to kick in. How much copper wiring and piping do we have running through our homes and through our electronics? Isn't there a lot of copper, all around us?
Definitely.
And I'm wondering if that's an intentional inhibitor for the majority of people. I mean,
see, that's not a conspiracy theory mind. That's the mind of someone who knows of what's going on, the real deal.
Well, that's how they would label. That's how, people out there label people with that type of thought process, and that's fine with me, But you're right. That's where my mind always goes, or my mind always is, I should say. How are people being repressed?
While you're talking about that, let's talk about the sound warfare that they use. They use sounds, okay,
yes.
to control other countries' weather, and they use sound to control people's thinking process. And this isn't conspiracy anymore. This is an actual, there's papers out on this where they were experimenting on different places in the United States of America with this sound tech.
It was called the Woodpecker frequency. It was developed by the Russians, and it was coming in through the lights. Initially, is how they detected it, and it was causing, I think, stress and anger and all sorts of other things in people, over a long period of time. And then David Icke talks about this. He does a whole bit on it, and he said now they're developing like these anything smart technologies to be worried about, but these new smart lights and these new lights with the mercury in them are designed to magnify this signal that's coming through that's influencing with people's electromagnetic output. And the research I'm doing for my book, it's all about the electromagnetic signals and how they're being manipulated to influence human behavior, which is very scary.
It is scary, but they've done it. And, if you want to take this way back, you can go to the Sumerian scripts where the Anunnaki, they were giving mankind all of these, these technologically advanced things, and the sound was used to heal diseases and to reverse aging and all sorts of things like that. So initially, these things were used as good things.
They were.
And I guess it was reintroduced when they supposedly had, a get-together with another, I don't know, I don't like using the word alien, but they supposedly had contact, and this technology was all of a sudden rediscovered. And they, instead of using it to benefit mankind, what they did is, they used it against. And that's what they seem to do with everything. And makes you wonder,
Well, and that
makes you wonder.
And that ties into, my project, and that seems more like, an archontic spin on things, taking what's already given and perverting it, doing the inverse, doing the opposite, using it against us. So that definitely fits the profile. But we've got about 10 minutes left, Gerri. I want to jump in. I know you have a writing project that you're working on. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or?
Yeah, I'm actually writing a book right now about personal experiences, and I hate to use the word alien, but let's just say with otherworldly, not even worldly. See, I believe they're dimensional creatures, travelers. But I'm writing a book about alien encounter/abductions, and the name of it's going to be Altered State of Being. And I want to have it out by December. Yeah, it's kind of, I was looking for a title, and it just kept coming to me, and maybe something has something to do with that. I won't say right now, but I think Altered State of Being is good because all the information that we gain from not so bad encounters, they're all telling the same thing, be careful. This technology you've had before, this is not new. You will destroy yourselves with this stuff again because, for some reason we always go down the same path, and that's sad to me.
Yeah, it's like we're not learning from our mistakes, or it's getting almost like the reset button is getting hit, and then the people that do have that knowledge are corrupted and don't help us through it when they're supposed to, which is also frustrating. So tell me a little bit more about this book. You say, it's about experiences that you've had. And
I actually started, I can't say that it started when I was 2, but that's when I have some recollection of it beginning. And it probably began before that. And it went on for a very long time in a positive sort of mannerism. And then it turned negative at a certain age. in your teen years. And there were both, the good would come, the bad, and my whole philosophy, and not only my philosophy, but what I've learned, gotten from what I call downloads from these beings.
That's exactly what I call them. Yep.
I integrate that into the book, and I let me make this perfectly clear. I'm not smart enough in this body to know the things that I know, and if not for them, I would probably be just another sheep out there. And I'm very, very thankful for the things that I know. Do I know why I know them yet? No. I still haven't figured out why, we are the way we are, and other people, for some reason, they're just not there. I haven't figured that out either. And I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of questions, but I'm putting it in a book. I definitely want to share it with other people who have had similar experiences. And maybe, they can contact me and we can talk about it, which would be great, actually.
That's fascinating. Every time, you and I talk and connect, I feel like, wow, we're so much alike. That's how I feel with the book that I'm working on. It's like I want to put it out there so other people know, hey, I'm not alone in what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing. I don't think, there's so many truth movements out there now and people talking about this stuff, but I find it far, in between when somebody credible gets up and says, well, here's my story. Here's what happened to me. I just want to share what happened to me, beyond all these crazy theories are out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we have enough of that
definitely
anymore.
Do.
That's what I'm doing with my show. I'm trying to get people like you and me saying, hey, I've had this experience, because if we can all come out and say, I've had this experience, we'll realize, well, this is happening. It's really common. Let's figure this out together. I think that's how we can move forward and really finally understand this and maybe not destroy ourselves again if we can understand this process.
That would be, and I think that we have retained some of our knowledge from ago, from ancient of old, and we carry that with us, and maybe we are the ones that have to step up and say, I'm certainly not doing this for money, because as well as I do, we spend more doing what we do than we'll ever make. It costs us more to put out our information than we will ever get back. It's definitely not about the money. It's not about popularity, because, not for nothing, most people think we're nuts, okay? Delusional, or, they're like, wow, these people are crazy. You got to hear this stuff, So it's not for that either.
Gerri, you are absolutely
certainly not
right.
For TV, Dennis, because you know me, I don't even like having, I get my picture taken, I'll put it out once in a while, and it kills me to do it, and I'm like, yeah, please get your camera off my face. So it's not that bad either.
I used to hate getting my picture taken. I really did. I was always, I really shied away from the camera, and then I made a choice. I said, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go public with all my stuff. I'm just going to put it all out there. So I'm kind of used to it now, but it is definitely tough. Definitely tough to, get up that courage to do it. But, I think what you're doing, Gerri, I know that, like I said, I was on your show over a year ago when I launched my last book, and then we stayed in touch, through the Facebook group and stuff, and that's been such a tremendous help to me, just in grounding me, knowing, number one, I'm not alone. Number two, I'm not crazy,
No,
and just
not.
hearing other people with these experiences. Yeah, it would be. I used to try to convince myself and others that I was crazy. When I was younger, I stopped paying attention to it, because I was, let's say 16, I started doing tarot readings, and I was getting very accurate readings. I was just reading for my friends. But not only that, the feelings I was getting about some of my friends, I realized, you're not the person I thought you were, and now I can't look at you the same. And I hated it. I'd rather just be ignorant and believe you to be this happy, great person that I always thought you were, instead of kind of seeing your true colors. So I ignored it for a long time. And then once I opened up in my 20s, I realized I've been walking through life blind, and I couldn't turn it off anymore.
Yeah, that's the realization that a lot of people tell me they come into, and I have a page called Empaths Unite, and I just share all sorts of, whatever. It's just little, picker-uppers for people who are having a bad day, the empaths, and I have video on there to help people understand themselves. And, I do things like that so other people know that they're not crazy, okay?
Right.
And we need each other. We really, we really do, because they do, the consensus of the normal people, you're Democrat, you're Republican, oh, you're an empath. Can you get away from my table now?
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough to find a place where we fit, but I feel that I found a place to fit in through the network that you've created, Gerri, and I think that's like I said, it's just a wonderful thing, and that's why I really wanted to have you on the show, to just so people can hear your voice and hear what your experiences are, and because it is grounding to hear, hey, this is something real. There is science behind it. We've only scratched the surface in some of the things you've spoken about. In a lot of my previous podcasts, I've pulled out research from heart math that's really, that everything just clicks and falls into place. And what you talked about tonight was another big piece of that puzzle too. So there is information out there. There is science out there now. The question is, those of you that are being skeptical, are you willing to look at that, take a hard look at that science and that data out there? And
once they stop being distracted by the world around them, that fake little construct, the matrix that they're living in, once they realize that they're being controlled and used to mine gold for their leaders, they might look at us a little differently.
But it might be too late. You see cognitive dissonance come into play a lot. And I refer to the Matrix movie a lot because they really break it down. Once you understand that movie, they do a great job of explaining things. And he says, we usually don't free a mind beyond a certain age because it has trouble letting go. And that's the truth. I mean, I remember even after I've been through this journey and understood, hey, the world's not the way I thought that it was. I'm not going to use the term awake because I hate that expression. But when I realized, hey, things are different, I was traumatized. I went through a major depression.
Oh, I know.
And then several times since then, when you're like, wow, it's even worse than I thought, or, oh, look at that. Oh, wow, that's not what I thought. Again, you go through a depression because your world falls apart, your paradigm shifts, but it's essential to go through that growth, to fight through that depression, and be aware of the traps that are laid for a lot of people that get stuck in that transition, which is tough too, but that's a whole other discussion.
Oh yeah. Well, this turns into every aspect of everything. I mean, we're the ones that see beyond the veil, and I think they don't like that. They don't like us because of it. And that's why our little flukes happen from time to time. They're like, oh, we can't let these people talk. I mean, most of them will think they're crazy, but we'll lose a couple to them.
Yes,
and a couple turns into
right.
a couple more and a couple more,
Well, and then that's that frequency and that vibration that starts to resonate and grow stronger, and I think discussions of this nature have the power to resonate and to make that difference, because even if somebody just listens to this and then really kind of doesn't do much with it, they're going to have that openness to it now, saying, well, that's a possibility when they see another situation and start to make that connection. It could be 10 years from now. My hope is that it sticks with them until that one moment when everything falls into place. And that's where the change happens. And I think that's the true revolution. I say all the time, it's not violence. It's not going out and getting angry and going with the crowd. That's what it wants you to do. That's why all this, that's why all that's on TV, because they want you to fall for that trap and get mad and get angry. That's not where we need to be. We need to look within and understand ourselves and figure out how to use that internal energy to change, what's in front of us.
Let's not even get into the TV side of things, okay, because, I'll turn the TV on and I'll see the most absurd, to me, as an empath, as a sensitive. I turn the TV on and the first thing I hear is, a couple of weeks ago, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, why are they using the word black? Number one, these people aren't black. They just have a darker skin tone and they're people. And what the hell is this? They're programming people to be different by telling them that they're not respected because, and I'm like, oh my God, people aren't going to actually fall for this crap, right? And they are. They are. You've got stars like Beyonce raving about it. It is. It's a division. You are people.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
it drives me crazy. It does.
And we've got about 5 minutes left, Gerri, but my favorite line reminds me, I always quote from the Hunger Games. Remember who the real enemy is. We're sitting here fighting amongst ourselves, but there's someone above us that's just, it's like the kid that spreads rumors in school. That's exactly what's going on. Well, he said this about you. He said this about you. Oh, let's fight each other instead of going after the ones spreading the rumors. And then we let the city burn, and it's a shame.
It's
really a shame.
Terrible. But there's a negative influence behind things.
And it spreads like a virus. And as we're drawing close to the end of our show here, are there any final thoughts you have? Any final messages or websites you want to plug? Anything you'd like to say as we come to a close?
I don't have a website. I don't do readings. I used to. I stopped doing that. It affected my health. I do have a Facebook page. I'm author Geraldine Bouse on Facebook. I have a Twitter. I'm Gerri Bouse on Twitter. I have an email. It's lowercase empath2014@gmail.com. If anybody wants to, ask questions or if they need help with their condition, that's what I call it. If they need help, I'll do the best I can. I don't have all the answers, but I will share, we'll share information and go from there. My book's coming out in December, hopefully, if I can, get 5 minutes to finish writing the rest of the book. It'll be out in December, and that'll be, I'm self-publishing. I'm indie, so it'll be on Amazon.com. It'll be a Kindle book.
Great. And when you're ready, Gerri, you have an open spot here to come on and talk about your book a little bit more to help promote it, and I'll definitely plug it through my channels as well. I'm looking forward to this project coming out, so I wish you the best on that. And thank you so much. I'll have all your links up at servicechange.com within the show notes there. If you want to connect with Gerri, just go to servicechange.com and click on the link for this, and everything will be there to reach out and touch base with Gerri. Just a great person, a great friend, and I'm thankful that that we have connected. And like I said, I definitely want to have you on the show again. You have an open invitation anytime you want to come on and talk about stuff. Let's just hope that our technology held up and everything recorded for us. So
I'm praying. So yeah,
fingers are crossed.
Yes.
But if not, then we'll figure it out and we get to have another great conversation.
That's true too. There's no loss involved, so that's a plus.
Certainly is. Well, Gerri, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. I really appreciate it. I will message you shortly and let you know if everything went smoothly or if we're going to have to reschedule. But
I have my fingers and my toes crossed.
Yes, as do I.
Thank you, Dennis, Gerri, for having me on, and God bless. And you guys are due for a baby girl, and hoping you the best and smooth pregnancy, and give her anything she wants to eat. That's the rule.
You got it. I'll let her know.
Okay. All right.
All right. You have a good evening.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
One of the things I love most about doing this show and running Service to Change are the people that I get to connect with. And Gerri is one of those people who I'm so thankful that I've been able to make a connection with. Just and this conversation tonight really just resonated with me. And again, it was one of those moments where, like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not making this stuff up in my head because somebody else is experiencing it. And she's done research of her own, which I'm going to follow up on in my own course of research and studying, because it's another piece to the puzzle. And there is a science behind what we're experiencing, what we're feeling. I got to go back and listen to the exact terminology that she was using, but there's actual processes going on, and a difference between somebody with an empathic ability and somebody who's not, I guess, as sensitive as other people. So I think we're really onto something here, and that's what I love about this show, is that we're exploring this, we're exploring it together, we're exploring it openly, and I hope that all of you out there listening will join in this exploration and share. Not just the content and the show itself, but share your own experiences. Let me know. Send me an email. Go to servicetochange.com. Hit the contact button. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you have experienced. And if you'd like to talk about it on the air, I'm looking for people just willing to share their thoughts and their feelings and things that they've encountered and experienced to make these conversations more common, because the more comfortable we are having these talks, the more we'll be able to explore them and find answers and work with these events that are happening in our lives, and in some cases prevent them because they can become a hindrance, or enhance them because they can also benefit us as well. So and again, this ties in. If you want to go back, look at the show notes at Service to Change. I'm definitely going to link up the social coherence show because that is very relevant to what Gerri was talking about. She was talking about processes with the brain and things of that nature that have been measured. My social coherence show pulled the research out of Heart and Math that talked about the electromagnetic field that's generated from the heart that is able to transmit and receive emotional data, and they've actually found a way to measure empathy. So there's some great studies in there. That's part of the content of my book, Food for the Archons. So make sure you check out that show. Make sure you sign up for the Seiker newsletter at serviceofchange.com, where you will get to read I Am Human completely free of charge. The newsletter is free, comes out every week, has updates on the show, and other great content that's exclusive to subscribers. All of it's completely free. Just trying to start a dialogue here on these subjects because I think it's important. It's a new direction to go into, and it's better than all the violence and the conflict that's being spread out there, in my humble but loud opinion. So that's all the time that I have. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to the show. Gerri, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our discussion this evening. I'm Dennis Nappy, the second with Service of Change. This has been the Seiker Podcast, where small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world. I encourage you to be that change, never stop questioning, and keep an open mind. Thank you. Welcome to Truth Seekers.